Hi everybody! So today is Monday, so that means it's time for family movie night. And this is the weekly series that I do on Mondays where I pick a family film that is available on Netflix Stream that you can all watch together and have a really good time. And I have a column that I write that goes along with the videos, and you can see that on ldsblogs.com. I'll put a link down if you want to check out the columns. They're a week behind, so you'll see today my Robin Hood post is up. So today we're going to talk about a series that I've really enjoyed that I don't think has gotten quite enough respect. This will be the first of probably a number of Tinkerbell choices that I'm going to make, because there are a lot of them that are available on the Netflix stream. And the Tinkerbell series did have they do have small theatrical releases, but they're mainly direct to DVD. And that kind of has a negative connotation, especially with Disney, with their sequels and some of the things that they did in the 90s and early 2000s. But they've really come to their own. And these films, Tinkerbell films, and particularly I think the Tinkerbell and the Winnie the Pooh, as far as Disney tunes, have always been pretty good. And I think that the Tinkerbells are really good in most cases. The voice casting is really good, the stories are good, they look good, the animation is good. So I think they are underrated and underappreciated, and I highly recommend, especially if you have a little girl, checking out the Tinkerbell movies. And so we're going to talk about the first one today. We're going to talk about Tinkerbell. And Tinkerbell is voiced by Mae Whitman in this series. And Mae Whitman, you might remember her from Parenthood or from this recent movie Duff. And she is Tinkerbell. And basically in the original Tinkerbell movie, she is created and she ends up in Pixie Hollow. And she gets assigned the task of being a tinkerer, basically being kind of like an inventor, sort of. She fixes things, she creates things, and that's sort of her gift. And each one of the fairies in the Tinkerbell, in the Pixie movies, have a gift that's sort of there that makes them special. It's kind of like, in a lot of ways, I feel like the Tinkerbell movies are the way that, like in the Avengers, they each have sort of their own kind of thing that they bring to the table. It's kind of the same way with the Pixie girls, with the fairies. Okay, let me make sure I get this all right. So there's Silver Mist, voiced by Lucy Liu, and she is the water fairy. So she's over water. There's Kristen Chenoweth, who plays Rosetta, and she is the garden fairy. Iridessa, voiced by Raven Simone, she is a light fairy. And then there's Fawn, by American Ferrera, who is the fairy over nature. And basically, like, the story behind this Tinkerbell movie is that Tinkerbell wants to be more than just a tinkerer. She particularly wants to go over to the mainland and be one of the fairies who gets to change the seasons. And she just thinks that looks really fun and really interesting story, because she wants to be able to do more than what she is kind of born to do. But it's not like an Ariel thing where she doesn't value or doesn't enjoy what she is born to do. So it's sort of like this mixture of like valuing what it is that she is special at, but also not allowing that to completely 100% define her. It's sort of, and they do a really good job, especially in the continuing films, of sort of not making any of the characters like too cliched of villains. Like, all of the fairies have their pluses and their minuses, their weaknesses, their strengths, and so they're pretty well-developed characters. And granted, that's after I've seen, I don't know, 7 of these films, so I'm probably coming to this with a different perspective than somebody who's just going to see the first one and for the first time. So you kind of just have to look at this as sort of like the Fellowship of the Ring or something, that this is the first one that's introducing you to all these characters, kind of like the first couple Harry Potter movies or that kind of thing. This is just setting up the world and what the different characters, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and it has really good voice talent. And I think in itself, it's an interesting, like I said, kind of an engaging story. There's a couple other characters. There's Vidya, who's sort of a smart aleck. She's voiced by Pamela Adlon, and she's sort of threatened by Tinkerbell and Tinkerbell's inventing skills. And so she challenges her that there's no way she's going to be able to make it to the mainland, and that there's no way that will happen. You also get Angelica Houston as the queen of the fairies, which is really interesting. And, you know, how can you not like Angelica Houston in a vocal performance? And you also get Jesse McCartney as Terrence, and he is the keeper of the pixie dust. So there you go. And he kind of gives advice to Tinkerbell. So like I said, this one's kind of just setting up the world. It gives this little story about Tinkerbell trying to appreciate her talents, but then also wanting to go on the mainland. Like, it would be a good movie to watch with the whole family, not just little girls, and you can talk about each of their talents and how they can develop them. And then you can get started in the series and really, really enjoy it, because they get better. I debated about even doing this one because some of the other ones are so much better, but I think you got to start at the first and then go forward. So let me know if you're a fan of the Pixie stories, if you're a fan of the fairies movies. So let me know what you think, and please subscribe to my channel, and thanks so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.